And today I'm going to go over how to do the center serving on your bow. This is some of the equipment you're going to need. You don't need all this. Making strings for quite a while, you get a lot of them. But you're going to need a jig of some kind to hold your string. This one here is metal. That one is Kevlar makes this one. There's a lot of companies that make them. I can leave some links in there. So you thread those through there. Then they have ones like these, where this down here is where you put the tension on it. On these, it's how tight you put this on there. Then they also have ones that are made with plastic, and the tension is here. The problem is if you try and put too much tension, it's not right. You can crack them. And how these work is you go down through this hole, and then you'll come out the back, and then you're going to go over to this one, back through there, and then back through there, and then back up through here, and then back down through the hole. A little more complicated to thread, and these holes lots of times aren't really very big. These seem to have a little bit larger hole, makes it a little easier to go through. Then you have the real inexpensive ones like these. That is just basically a piece of aluminum that's bent around, and the tension is put how much tension on here. One of the problems you run into when you have those is, they get bent up real easy, so I don't use those too often. Now, as far as material, if you're doing a crossbow, they make special string just for crossbows. What I've done on some of those for the wooden ones is I'll just put 2 layers of this on there, and that helps because this is a little bit rough and tears up the wood on the wood risers on the old ones. But you have different material. This is a diamondback braid. This is also a diamondback in a different color, made by Brownell. BCY makes some in red, white, and blue, just a red and white. And they make in a blue and white. They'll make them in Halo is another one that BCY makes. You want to get the thicker one, like the 024. The 19 is more like for end loops. And they have them in red, they have orange, they have it in black and in brown, in a blue, and several different colors. They change the colors once in a while. Some of the material you don't want to use for them is this real thin stuff. Those are for like your end loops on them. And then you'll have some like this, which is just more of a, almost like a string. Those are used for doing loops and stuff on recurves and bows like that. So what I'll do is I'll set the camera up, and what we'll be doing is we'll be cutting off this old serving. It's separate a little bit, but I'm going to use this as a demonstration. And then one thing, look, if you see right here, I don't know if we can see if it's going to focus on it here. You can see the fuzz in here a little bit. That means this string is needing wax. This bow has never been set up, so it's just been sent around. The original strings aren't normally the best strings, but we'll get into that when we make a new string for it. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to cut off the old one. Take like one of these here. Be very careful because it's under tension, and if you cut it, it will break. I have it in this bow press, mostly just to hold it for me, because it's kind of hard to do. So all you do is slide this blade right along the string, and once you start getting some of this cut, you're going to see once you get this, now then you can start unraveling it once it gets to the point where you can start doing that. Then as you're doing this, you want to take a look at your string underneath it, make sure there's nothing wrong with it as you're going through. Now, one thing, if you have a bow set up and you have your peep into your loop, you want to measure that so you can put your loop back in the same spot, because your okay, now you want to take a piece of material. You know where the serving was because you can see, and you want to make sure you serve that area. On the compounds, you don't need much, just okay. I'm going to show tying it on. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie the material on, the new serving material on. We're going to start where the other one was at. Take up a little bit of the slack here. And we're going to start wrapping it around. It's again the same direction the twists are going. Wrap it around a couple of times. Fold the end over. And now start wrapping a couple more times around. Okay. Now you're going to pull this end tight so you get that knot tight to start with. Okay. Now we're going to start wrapping a couple more times here. Take up the slack out of the jig. And we're going to wrap it around. Just start wrapping it around. Now once you get a few of them down there, go ahead and pull the end out, because you don't need it to run all the way down. And you want to have this fairly tight. This is a little bit loose, because you want it to be a little bit of tension as you're wrapping them around. And then you're going to look here. You're going to make sure this doesn't stay. Normally I'll stick them through there, but without a press, it makes it a little bit harder doing that. So you're just going to wrap these around. Keeping in mind where you need to end. Don't take a long time to do it, but it does take a little bit of time. Now I'm about from here to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up on this. And now I'm going to keep wrapping the same way. This inside the loop going backwards. You'll see in a second here why I would do that. So then you're going to take your string. Now, you're going to wrap around. Down here we can see just a little bit better here. You start wrapping around, keeping tight. Keep about the same tension you have down here. And you're just going to start wrapping this around. Notice as you're wrapping that, this is unwrapping on this end. So you're going to keep doing that until you get to the point where you have just this loop like this. You're going to start pulling that out, and you want to make sure you get this in there. I'll take your tool here and pull it tight. And if you want to always give this a tug down here, you can always give this another tug down here just to make sure that's in there nice and tight. You'll cut this in. Not right up next to it, but fairly close to it. Same thing here. Fairly close to it. Now then, to help ensure it doesn't come out, take this little end up, and you'll see that little fur on there. Take your lighter, burn that. Disappears. That helps make sure it doesn't come out. Do both ends. And that's what you have there. Now I'm going to show you why you need to be really careful when you're dealing with strings, because this is a waxed string, and the candle wax a candle wick is waxed as well. That's what'll happen to your string if you get it too close there, because it'll burn. I just wanted to show you that so that you can be careful with the lighter next to your string, because it will make a problem.